Hey there, it's Kathy Howes with Be Creative with Kathy, and in this video I'm going to show you how I put together I can cut March's card club packet. So your packet looks like this. Of course, this is the extra card that we make 2 cards together. This is the card that I already made for you. If you want to see how I made this card, I did a video just this morning and you can see how to make it. It includes, well, you can go to my blog, becreativewithkathy.com, and it has the measurements for the little stand and for this piece in here, and the rest is cut out with that deckled rectangle dies. But you could, like I said, see that on my blog or on my YouTube channel, Be Creative with Kathy, or on Facebook, all those things I post on. But here's our kit. So let's start with this card here. I'm going to start from the pool party back. This part here will be the next card. We'll do that one second. I usually do the complicated card first and then the more simple card second. Let me show you what see what it looks like here. Like this, and then when you slip off the belly band, it's a floating pop-up card, or I think that's what it's called, something like that. But look how cute, and with that belly band. So let's start first by doing some stamping. I think I have most of my stamps mounted, but we might have to mount. Well, let me put the stamp set here so you can see what I'm going to use and what I'm going to mount. Okay, first let's get the paper. So this little square, you have 3 squares here, all layered, right? We want the white, or the smallest square. We're going to stamp on there. That's part of our belly band. This we don't need right now. We'll be able to stamp on this little piece here. I don't think that's supposed to be in there. I don't know what that's in there for. We're going to stamp on our crumb cake. Now, your crumb cake might look different than mine, might be a different shape. I just took out scraps, and that's what we're going to use. We need this piece set aside. Here's the other one. There's a 1/4 sheet of basic white. We're going to stamp on there too, and that's what we're going to fussy cut from. Okay, so bring back in this piece, because I think we're going to start with this, and then we'll cut some pieces here. Let's start with the black first. So I'm going to use black memento and the little words, "A little bird told me." So in the stamp set here, "A little bird told me." You could also use a note of thanks, and you've got something to celebrate might fit on there too. But like I said, I'm going to use that "A little bird told me," put that on a block, and then because I want this to fit, or really I want to position everything around this part, that's why I'm going to stamp the words first, and then I can see where to put my other pieces. I'm going to use a Stampin' Pierce mat just because it's photopolymer and you get a better image. So ink that up good. Set that "Little bird told me" right there in the corner. I just re-inked my memento, so there's not a lot of pressure, and it's still pretty dark. But I think I'm happy with that. We'll let that go. I need a piece of scratch paper here to cover, because now I'm going to use some soft suede to stamp that stem. And I'm going to place that stem just above that. Let me make sure it's inked up. That's what I like about the photopolymer. You can see through it, where you can't when there's a glare like that, and see where if it's really inked good. And I think it is. I'm going to put it here, making sure that some of my leaves is show on this side. It's right above that "Little bird told me." I think that looks pretty good. And then on that basic white piece here, we're going to stamp it again. This time I want to get the full stem on there, and for some reason, can't tell you why, I like to stamp it like that right there. And we're going to have to fussy cut this out, so it doesn't matter, you know, it just needs to be on your paper somewhere. You don't want to waste a lot of paper, but I'm sure I sent you more than what you need. Okay, we're all done with the brown. We can set that aside, and let's bring in, this is Granny Apple Green. Oh shoot, before I put the brown, we were not done with the brown, but we'll come back to that. I'm going to ink up those leaves. I turn the stamp so you can't see it now. This little set of leaves here, and we're going to ink that up in the Granny Apple Green and stamp that at the end. I'm just kind of rotating. I might have got my head in the video, I apologize, but just rotate it till it looks good on our little stem. Let's do the same thing on this little square. And now I'll say we're done with the green, and then watch in a second I'll think, oops, no, we need to stamp one more thing, but maybe not. Let's stamp that, and then Yeah, there we go. So it looks like that. Looks pretty good. I like that. I'm going to bring that brown back in really quick and that piece of crumb cake. And let's go ahead and stamp the nest onto that crumb cake. Now, like I said, your crumb cake might be a little bit different. I think I tried to give you guys a little bit bigger piece than what I had in my packet, so you had more room to set your nest on there, but you don't really need it. We're going to fussy cut that out too. Okay, so far we have our stem, our leaves. Let's go back. Nope, now we're going to get out, not back to black yet. Let's go to real red. And the real red, I don't have my birds mounted. Let's get those out. We want one of each bird. So I'm going to go ahead and take the bigger bird, which coordinates with the punch, and put it on a block. And then take that smaller bird. So these two birds, both in the stamp set, we need one of each of them. And we'll put that on a block. And then on that scrap piece of paper, I'm going, well, you know, in fact, I'm going to stamp the big bird first because I can probably put the little bird several places. But I'm going to pick a corner and I'm going to stamp him in the corner here. And I'm going to turn my punch over so I can kind of see what my bird looks like in my punch. And that way I know about where to stamp him, so I can get him punched out pretty easy. Although if you didn't stamp him right, all you got to do is just fussy cut around the bird a little bit and then put it in the punch. We'll see if we have to do that later. Okay, there's my bird. I'm gonna be happy with that. And then this little bird, I'm gonna just set down in this corner here. Let that ink sink in, get a nice image on there. Okay. Now let's get out some go back. I shouldn't have left the red out. We should have done the memento first. I'm not in very good order here. And I'm going to get out the little feet. Now you have two pairs of feet. This feet goes with this bird. These feet go with that bird. We need these feet to go with that bird. And they look like this. Let's mount that on a block. Timber. Okay, and back on that little square, we're going to put the little bird feet right on that branch here. And I'm going to set him, I think, about there. Just have him stand on that branch. Now, while I still have my black ink out, I'm going to get that It's Your Special Day. Now, there's other things that could fit on here. If you don't want, it's a birthday card. I'm going to do more of a birthday card. So it's your special day. And on this little scrap here, and I'm going to move that so I can see my scrap better on my gray. And I'm going to stamp that. This is for the inside of our card. Stamp that right there on that piece. Let that ink sink in. Good. Not a lot of pressure because my ink pad is really inky. Let's see how I did. Yep, that'll work. Okay, keep that black close by. And for some reason, and I just dumped my little word right in my black ink. That makes me so sad, but such is life. Okay, I'm gonna take and stamp that little red bird here, and I do it just for placeage, or you know, so I could see where to stamp my next little musical notes. You wouldn't have to do this because we're gonna fussy cut the other bird that we cut out, or that we stamped here. So you wouldn't have to stamp this, but I like it so I could see where to place my bird, I guess. I'm going to just take him here and stamp him right there. Okay. Now, I think we're done with... No, let's do one more thing with the red before we put away. Let's take that little bird wing, and we're going to stamp that 2 times. We need 2 little bird wings on this scrap here. I'm going to look at my punch again so I know that the wide edge is to the left, the point is to the right, and I'm going to stamp them on top of one another, or one there and one here, and then when I punch it out, I believe one won't ruin the other with the way the punch is. Now I believe we're done with the red. Excuse me. Let's go back. Oh my, to that black and that little square. And I'm going to get now those little musical notes onto a block. And I'm going to stamp those little musical notes. Now that I know where the bird's going to be, I'm going to stamp the little musical notes over here to the side. Yeah. Okay, now I believe we have all of our stamping. Let's see, we'll do some fussy cutting real quick. I'm gonna start with my nest here. And just go around those edges, kind of get in the nooks and crannies and give it some character around the side. Although if you just went straight along, I don't think it would matter either. I think it's gonna look good either way. We just need this nest to be cut out. So we have our nest there, and then I'm going to, first of all, just get rid of the bulk of the paper of this smaller bird, and we're gonna fussy cut him. Oh, he doesn't have eyes. We need to give him a set of eyes. Poor little thing is going blind here. I probably should have cut some of these in advance so you wouldn't have to watch me, but I didn't, so I apologize. Might take me just a second longer because I have to fussy cut on the live. But he's not hard, he's just fine. You know, those circle edges that are pretty easy if you move your paper, not your scissors. I leave my scissors there. There we go. And then this little bird, we can just take and punch. Put him in the punch now. Like that, line him up nice and cute. And then the same thing with the wings. And look, I did punch them totally backwards. Let's stamp the wings again. Who's that figure? That's embarrassing, huh? Typical Kathy, that's what I do every time. So I'm gonna just stamp them again here, right next to those. Where'd my red ink go? Here it is. And stamp them the other way, so the point is to the left. Thank goodness it's a huge piece of paper, and we have lots of extra room. There we go. Now let's see if it works in there. Thought I had that right. Should have checked it twice. There we go. Now we can punch out that one and then just slide that down and punch out the other one. Okay, now we have our two little bird wings. All of this is just scrap. Put my mat away here. Okay, then we have to fussy cut this stem and leaf here. I'm going to trim this down, make this paper smaller. I think it's easier that way. Yes, much easier that way. I got to get this up here to a point though. Okay, I'm not going to worry about this very end. We're going to have to cut that down a little bit. It's too long as it is. Okay, let's kind of clean up because now it's time. We have all of our little pieces and parts here. Yes, I believe now it's time to assemble. Okay, so let's do first, bring in our card base here. Now our card base is scored at 2/8 of an inch from either side. We're just going to fold those in, and hopefully if I've done my job correct, they should meet in the middle. Like that, and I did good on mine. Mine meet in the middle just like that. And then oh, that's the designer series paper here. That's these two pieces. Now your designer series paper might look like this, or it might look like this depending on what pieces you get. And they should line up. Now I got mine mixed up. Yep, see how they line up perfect, just like this, so you wouldn't know there was a seam. So when I put it onto my card, I'm gonna make sure that these line up here in the center and only have a border around the edges. I'm going to use liquid glue. That way I can slide it into place. So a little bit of liquid glue, making sure that I do have them lined up. Yep. And then, like I said, I'm going to make it flush over here. This side is going to be right on the edge, and then it'll have a border only on these three sides. I'm going to put this one on the other side. There we go. So the front of my card looks like that. Like I said, your cardstock or your designer series paper might look like that. Okay, then we have this piece that has been run through the timber. I think it's called timber, but it gives it that wood grain on there. You have to decide, do you like this side better or do you like this side? This is debossed, so it's pushed down. This is embossed, so it's pushed up. I like the embossed side where you can feel the texture. I'm going to put the flat side to the card back. This, and I'm going to just set this on the inside here. Okay, so far so good, right? Now you have two pieces. Put this away. You have two pieces that look like this. One is 3/4 of an inch. That's going to go on the bottom. One is 1 inch. That's going to go on the top. They're scored 3 times. You can see there's a score line here, and then there's 2 score lines over here. And we're going to fold them so that they look like this, all back. We're going to take that 1 inch score line and we're going to lay it on our, now this is the 1 score line. There's the 2 score lines are on this side. This 1 score line here, we're going to lay here. Now I want to make sure that the bigger bird, oh, which we forgot to stamp, well, I forgot to stamp the eyes on. I got to come back and do that. Doesn't hang out your card here. So I want to make sure that this piece is low enough that when I put him there, and where did my nest go? And my nest, that he's not going to show up here outside the card, right? So I think that looks pretty good. I want my white piece, well, you know, I'm going to move it down just a little bit more so it's about there. That gives me lots of room for my bird and my nest, okay? And I'm going to line it up, like I said, one more time. 1 score line here, 2 score lines over here. I'm going to take my liquid glue and put some liquid on just that last tab over here. And then I'm going to make sure that my card closes. See how it's all the way against this score line? Make sure my card closes and it's straight. And I'm going to just close my card like this and glue that to this side here. So then when you open it, it looks like that. Okay? Okay, then we're going to fold this over. Now let me put it this way so you can see. So you have these 2 score lines. I'm only going to put adhesive or glue on this last tab down here. See, here's the score lines. I'm only going to put glue here. And I didn't fold that very well. Let me see if I can fix it a little bit and get it a little straighter. That's better. Okay, glue on just that last tab there. And you've noticed I fold not on this score line, but on this score line. So it's as long as it can be this way. And then I'm going to take this whole thing and I'm going to shut the card. So really when you're looking after you shut the card, there should only be one little square right here. And this is going to glue it to back here. And that's how you get that tab or that pop-up on there. Let's do it one more time. This time we're going to take the 3/4 inch. We're going to turn it around. So we're going to have the 1 score line here and the 2 score lines over here. Let's fold those real quick. Almost forgot to do that. I'm only going to put glue on that one tab here. Now on this piece, this is where our greeting is going to go. So this piece is here. So you can't have it. You can't, this piece is pretty easy. It can't go too high or too low. Just decide where you want your greeting compared to your nest. In fact, I want it a little bit higher. I don't want it way at the bottom. I want it more like a focal point. So I'm going to set it here, make sure that my flap, you know, the side can come up. I'm only going to put glue on this. This is the one score line over here. 2 score lines are now on this side. And put a little bit of liquid glue or adhesive here. I suggest a strong glue because it's going to pull on your card all the time. And then shut that down there. So now this is attached to this, just like we did at this one, only it's the exact opposite. And then fold this over. You can see I'm only going to put glue on this last little tab here. Now this part's kind of tricky because you got to kind of sneak it in there and get both sides closed so it doesn't, so this part doesn't bump into here. But I have my adhesive just on this tab here. I'm going to fold it on the second score line, I guess you'd call it, or this one here. And then I'm going to close these both down and get that in there and then adhere. I hope you saw how I did that. But now you have those pieces like this. And see how those tabs are glued down. Only that last part has the adhesive on it like that. You close your card, you open your card, bada bing, bada boom. So let's do this part easy, get the easy part over with here. I'm gonna take our little tag with our saying on it, just a little bit of adhesive, and put that right here on this pool party rectangle. Got adhesive where I don't want it, there we go. Right there, try to get it straight, looks pretty good. And then I'm going to put adhesive on the front of this. We're going to attach this to this, and I want to make sure there's no adhesive on the end here where it's going to hang off. I don't want to glue this to the back of our card. So I'm going to just take and put some adhesive here because it's going to cover that whole piece of white. And a little bit of glue goes a long way. It doesn't take a lot. So just a little bit of glue like that. Make sure it's lined up with the edge and straight. I think that looks pretty good. Make sure it closes. We're all good. Lots of pressure. Does it open? Yep, still looks pretty good. Just like that. Now we have that on there. Okay, so now let's go ahead and put our stem and our bird. Nope, let's stamp our bird. We'll stamp both their eyes on there since I forgot the poor little bird's eyes. I'm going to use this 2 little black dots here. Well, they're not black yet, but they're going to be. But the 2 little eyeballs here. Put that onto a block. Bring back in that black ink and stamp those little eyeballs onto my bird. That's an important part of the step. And let's do the other little bird that we fussy cut too. Oh, and then I just noticed, boy, I am out of it because we didn't even color his beak. Now his beak, I think, should be yellow. We don't want him to look white. We want it to have a little bit of color. You could use this little stamp here with some yellow ink, but I'm going to just use my Stampin' Blend that was right here. Maybe I put it away, but I'm going to just color real quick those little beaks. Give them a little bit of color there. There, that looks better. Okay, now I'm going to add their little wings with a glue dot. I think his little wing maybe like there. And this little wing. Excuse me, I got that nasty, I don't know, whatever, like that, okay? So these 3, this little bird is going to go to the front, so we'll set him aside for later. This little bird here is going to go on this little tab here. Now we want to lay the stem on there first, and if you notice, when you shut the card, the stem all the way in there, this leaf goes beyond this score line. You can't have anything past this score line right here, so I'm going to just trim a little bit off, and I think it's about 1/4 of an inch of the stem, but you know, I don't know where you stamped your leaves, so it might be longer, it might be shorter depending on where you stamped them, but you can just test. See, I've taken and put it all the way in there, and then if you can shut your card, whoops, and it stay there, and be in front of this, see how this can still close? then you're okay. So I'm going to just take a little bit of liquid glue, and when I put it here, I noticed that I can go about as far as where those two stems branch out, and so I'm going to just put glue up to there. So a little bit of liquid glue there, and I know I'll be safe like that. And then I'm going to just set that all the way in there, hold it in there while I close my card. And making sure everything sits in there nice. Be careful that you don't bend your leaves in there, but now that your leaves are shorter than the score line, yikes, over here. And then I said, nah, don't bend your leaves, and what did I do? I totally bent my leaves. There we go. Excuse me. Okay, so there we go. Now we have our leaves in there. Now we just need to add, oh, my leaf, maybe mine's a little bit too long. I might have to take him off and trim him down a little bit, but he shouldn't be. Huh, yep. Don't do what I do. I'm gonna take this off a little bit, see if I can get it off. There we go, and I'm gonna trim him a little bit shorter so that he doesn't get hung up on that other side. And look what I've done, bend my leaf. Now, if I had time, I would actually take and restamp that and recut it so it's not bent, but I think I can make it work, just for sake of the video. Lay him back down there. There, now he doesn't get hung up on that. There, yeah, shorter is better. So it looks like that now, yeah? And look, when you open it and close it, it doesn't get stuck over here on the, much better. Okay, let's take our little bird now, and I'm gonna just take, you know what, I think I'm gonna take a little bit of liquid glue here on my nest. And you don't wanna have liquid glue where it's not gonna stick. We don't wanna stick it back to the back of our card, if that makes sense. But I'm gonna just put my little bird right there in my nest, like that. And then we know most of our nest is gonna be on the tree. I might even put mine at a tilt, because you can't have his tail past that score line again. See, like that, it has to be able to close like this. So I'm gonna tilt mine a little bit since he seems kind of big. And just put a little bit of glue in the center here. A little bit goes a long way. And set him here on that tree branch. And then close your card. There, and then push that down. Let's see what he looks like. Yep. And now when you close your card, my pieces don't get hung up in there. Hopefully yours looks like that too, or something close to that. And there's the inside of your card. Now, when I mailed these out, I just wrote my, you know, happy birthday, hope you have a happy birthday, love Kathy, over here on the side. And that's where I wrote on my card. Okay, let's go ahead and finish up the front now. So the first thing I want to do is I want to take this little white square here, put some adhesive on the back, and I'm going to just layer it onto this pool party square. Like such. And then on the back of my bird, I'm going to put dimensionals, but I'm going to make sure that the dimensionals don't stick out and up here. They got to be just under the bird. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my dimensionals on my paper here, because I can see exactly where my bird's going to be now that I stamped that. Like that. And then just set that cute little bird right here. Now I'm going to put this onto my belly band with dimensionals. If you don't want to put this on dimensionals, I would suggest you do it while it's flat before you put the little bird on there. So this piece here is our belly band. I'm going to lay this behind, and I'm going to try to get it in the center. I never have much luck getting it perfect the first time, or perfect ever, but I'm going to bend these over here. Oh, I did pretty good this time. And you'll have that little gap. Well, see, I didn't get it perfect, but it doesn't matter. We're going to cover it up. And then I'm going to put this piece here so I can see I don't want any adhesive outside here. I only want adhesive inside here. And this way I can kind of get an idea. Plus, I want to check and make sure that this still slides. And it does, so we're good with where I fold it, where it's folded. Yes, folded. And then, like I said, I'm going to use this part as a guide in the center. I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive here, a little bit of adhesive here, and then I'm going to lay this so that it's in the center. Oh, I did pretty good, just like that. So it's, it was good. So it's centered here and here, and it's also straight when you look at it like that. Then you do a double check real quick, make sure you can get your belly band off and on. Make sure it's stuck down. And then, like I said, there we go, with a couple dimensionals on the back of this piece. I'm going to adhere this to the front of my belly band. And then when I get that done, we're all done with card number 1. And look how cute that is, just like that. Slides the belly band off. You can open it up, see your inside, close it again, and then slide that belly band back on, just like that. So there you go, that's card number 1. Now let's work on card number 2. There's 2 different colors. I'm finishing up this tea bouquet cards and envelopes. Sorry, can't do 2 things at once. So you might have gotten a sweet sorbet, or you might have got a Tahitian tide. Now mine happens to be sweet sorbet, so I'm going to do the red style. Mixed all the pieces. Let me clean up a little bit so I have room to work here. We're going to need these little black eyes again, so don't put those too far. Everything else we don't need, except I'm going to bring in that stamp set, and where did it go? Here it is. This color and contour. I want to use this. You're absolutely amazing. Okay, put that on a block, and then I'm ready to go. All right, let's look at the pieces now. So here's just the envelope, nice and decorated. Look how pretty those are. Our card base we won't need right now. I'm going to just set that aside. We're going to start by punching. Make sure I don't lose the little gem and the little flower there. But on these 2 pieces, you should have enough room. And now here's my punch. To punch out 2 complete birds in the black. We want 1, 2. Now really all we need is the bird bodies. We only need this piece and this piece. All the rest of this is just trash. We don't need that. And then on the petal pink, we need the same thing, only really all we need is this part. We don't really need the tail. You'll have plenty of paper to cut it all, but I'm going to just cut it like this. We don't need that tail on there. I'll probably have to crop that down even more. But now we have those 2 pieces there, and all of this is just waste. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to take and trim off those tails on both birds, and now it looks like this. These are the pieces that we need. Okay, so then also in your kit, you have a piece that looks like this. Now this is just the In Color Designer Series paper. I took and punched it with the vintage bottle. That's how you come up with this. And then I took a little, this is a 1/2 inch circle, and punched like a 1/2 inch. You can tell it's centered because it's side to side here, and maybe half of that circle out like that. And this is what your piece looks like. I just wanted to make sure you knew, in case you want to replicate the card and do it again, that it looked like that. Okay, then we're going to take this piece and we're going to lay it right here like this. So this is going to be her neck and her shoulders. If it's not laid on there perfect, it really doesn't matter. We can fix little things like that with her hair. So like I said, that Designer Series paper like this, I'm going to just take it and lay it about there. Something like that. Okay, now let's make her hair here. This is so you can decide, and I don't think you can see the hair on my card. Oh, if I do this, you can. I remember if I do it here, maybe if I can get it under there, you can see that little wave of her hair is this way. On this one, the little wave in her hair is this way. So it doesn't matter. It's whatever you prefer, or if you even have if it even makes any difference to you. But we're going to take and lay her hair like this, and this is upside down. We want it this way, like this, to build her little head. Okay, but before we put it down, we need to stamp her little eyes, mouth, and cheek. So if you watched my supply video, I told you that on this one, I did the cheeks with the little Stampin' Right marker. And with this one, I did the little cheeks with the Stampin' Blends. This is the dark Flirty Flamingo Stampin' Blends. However, you also could use your ink pad, and I'll show you how. I think I got a little ahead of myself, because let's go ahead and do her eyes and her mouth first. I need to bring this little set of eyes in. So I'm going to put those on a block. Here they are. This is going to be her mouth. But let's take first and stamp those little black eyes. Little round eyes. And I'm going to just kind of guess about where, oh, I inked the wrong eyes. Whoops, let's clean those off. That's not right. I don't know what I was thinking there, or was I thinking? Let's do these. The little round eyes is what we want to do first. And I'm going to guess that they'll go about there. Now, if I don't have them where I like them, all I have to do is turn her head over and try again. But they're going to be fine just right there. Now, with that little other mouth, I'm going to take polished pink. Any pink would work. I'm going to ink up only half of the stamp, or just one of those eyes, like this. Very gentle here, and just stamp that. And I should be using my Pierce mat, but oh well. I'm going to stamp that down. Looky there, right there. Is that not adorable? Now, what Raina came up with, and I thought it was an excellent idea, she said that these cheeks here just look like the eyeballs in a different color. And I thought, Raina, you're brilliant. So I brought in some Petal Pink ink. Now that's the same color as my paper. Let me clean those black eyes so they're nice and clean. Get them stuck to my... And then let me test on a piece of scratch paper. I don't want to get black cheeks on my little girl, so I'm going to check and make sure they're clean. They are. I'm going to ink up that Petal Pink, or ink up the stamp with Petal Pink, and then on either side of her mouth here, I'm going to just stamp those little cheeks. And now look how cute her little cheeks are, using the eyes to stamp the cheeks. Great idea, Raina. Love it. Okay. Okay, so now I think, oh, no, let's take stamp, and here I am going to bring in my Pierce mat for this one. We're going to bring in the smallest of these layers. There's 3 layers here, and the white piece here, that's where we're going to stamp our greeting in that black again. See if I can get that straight without sticking my head in the camera. Let that ink sink in, not a lot of pressure there. Yeah, okay. Now we're done with our stamping, unless of course you want to stamp something on the inside of your card. The inside of my cards are blank, but there's lots you could do in there. Okay, let's assemble. Let's start with her. First thing I want to do is I'm going to cut off the neck of the bottle here. I'm going to just trim that down like that, just so it doesn't get in the way later. I'm going to use a little bit of liquid glue and figure out about where her hair is going to go. So we know it's going to be down here. And set this. Now I want to make sure 2 things, that you don't see any of her head outside on the side here, or you don't have a gap right here where her head meets her hair. Like that. I think that's going to look good. Let's put this one on and see. Yeah, I think that looks good just like that. So on this one, I'm going to put a little bit of glue here. We know it's going to cover there, and a little bit here. And then just lay this one on top of there, making sure I cover that this little, you only want one of these little things to show. I hope that makes sense. But there you go. There's her head just like that. Now, I'm not even going to put these two together. First thing, though, I am going to do, and I forgot to do this during the Zoom class, is I'm going to take and fold my card base right here. Get a nice crisp fold on there. And I want this to be flat. I'm going to just lay it onto my card base now. Because when it's flat, it's so much easier to put down. Make sure my card opens right. It's going to go this way. Easier to put this down when it's flat than when it has all the bumps of all those dimensionals and flowers and everything on there, like that. Then on the back of her head and on the back of her body, I'm going to just take some dimensionals. Let me see if I can find, here we go. One there, making sure that I don't get too close to the edge here so we can put her neck under her head just a little bit. There we go, like that. I'm going to put her head down. Now when I put her head onto the basic white, I'm going to put it really close. Let's see if you can see how close it is to that stitched edge up here, and that tends to make it just perfect. So let's start with her head right up here by that stitching. Looks pretty straight. And then we'll take the backs off her body. And so you know, this was not my idea. I got this from Stamp with Aloha, Aloha Stamps. Oh shoot, now I'm not gonna remember. But then put her body on there. It is say on my blog, Be Creative with Kathy, where I got the idea from. You'll have to check that out. And see how I had any errors or anything. I could put this higher or lower. I'm not gonna worry about down here. This is gonna be covered up, but I think she looks cute just like that. Okay, let's layer these together now. Like that. Now when I put dimensionals on here, I'm only going to put dimensionals up on these sides here and on the bottom, nothing here, because this is going to just set right here on her body. So dimensionals, and I think I'm going to use mini dimensionals. Let me see which is the bottom. This is the top. I turned it over, so this is the top here. A couple dimensionals there, and maybe a dimensional there, and there, and there. And then this piece fits perfect down here right in between those stitches down there. And set it in there so the borders are just right and kind of even all the way around. And then it looks like that. And look how cute. Is that not adorable? Now let's put her flower on there. Again, I'm going to use a glue dot. That flower fits perfect on one of our little mini glue dots here. And if you're having trouble getting that off with the glue dot, if you just give it a little twist, and of course, yep, I thought there for a second it was going to call me a liar, but there you go, you put that on. Now you could take this little red gem here and you could just put it on there, but I think it sticks better if we take some liquid glue and just put a dab in that hole there in the center. And then I'm even going to use my take a pick tool to get that off of there. Maybe. Oh, there he went a-flying. There we go. And then set him in the center of our flower. And then just hold it for a couple seconds, let that glue do its job, and looky there. Now you have your card. Is that not adorable? Thank you, Aloha with Stamps, Stamping with Aloha, Aloha Stamps. I don't know. Sorry if I messed up your blog. I totally apologize. Your blog name. Loved your card, by the way. So did everybody at Club. But there you go. There's our cards for this month. Now remember, next month we'll be using the same bundle. We'll be using the Songbird and the Punch, which has escaped me now. All I see is a bottle. Here's the Punch. Again, I have two cute cards in mind and a great third card that you're going to love. Be sure and use the Stamp Club host code so that Sandra, I believe it's Sandra's turn, will get the hostess benefits, or now they're called stamp rewards. If you have any questions, be sure and give me a call. I'll happily help you through it or do whatever I can to help. Alrighty, thanks for being a part of my stamp club, and I'll see you back here later. Bye-bye.